Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Chatting in the Dunes. And today I'm joined by Danner.eth, a famous NFT analyst, one could say. And I'm very excited to have him here today. And yeah, welcome, Danner.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So, what we're gonna do today is first off, we're gonna talk a bit about Danner personally, then or we'll let him introduce himself. Then we're gonna talk a bit about NFT analytics on Dune. Then we're gonna scope or like take a look at NFT analytics beyond Dune. And then Dan and me have had some very interesting conversations around communities in the Ethereum ecosystem, and we're gonna talk about these topics as well. So I'm really excited to talk about all of these topics. And let's just start with a simple introduction, I guess. Um, so who are you, Mr. Danner?
Um, Hi everyone. My first name is Drake. That's what I go by in the real world, but you might see me on Twitter or Discord as Danner.eth. Um, I work for a financial technology company doing business intelligence, and I've spent time in a Postgres database for the past 5 years on a daily basis. So have been watching crypto from afar. Started following Bitcoin in 2014. Discovered Ethereum in 2016, stepped away for a bit, came back for the ICO craze, got to go to some crypto meetups, which was really cool. And I think when I started to realize that really no one had any clue what they were doing. Then again, I'd say, after that big collapse in 2018, stepped away for a little bit, tried to get the legacy still important things to keep in mind, from a risk management standpoint. Um, and then January, February this year, really started to look at DeFi. Um, so if you follow that, I missed basically every bull cycle, so I should be a lot wealthier than I am, but still enjoy. I guess I'm in it for the tech.
Yeah.
Um, in April, I found Dune, and with my Postgres experience, it just found like the right way to really start throwing myself to the space. And I really think that understanding the data lets you understand everything that's going on in the ecosystem. So I guess, not sure if that's cool. I'll kind of jump into the analytics stuff here on the slide as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Um,
Let's just recap that for a second. So you've been aware of Bitcoin for like 7 years now, but like your first
yes,
like venture into like trying to work in crypto or like doing anything has basically been as late as like this April. So that's when you discovered
yes, that's
Dune,
correct.
and like you found like that the skill of like your like ancient skills, so to say, like your like TradFi skills. You could apply those like using Dune Analytics, and now you're basically like you're making a name for yourself as an NFT analyst.
Yeah, I think something that's really important for anyone listening and anyone else that's interested in getting more into the space is that the information arbitrage opportunity really from traditional financial products or really traditional analytics, anything that you consider, pre-crypto,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's still a really high opportunity for those skills to come into crypto, and people are looking for skills. So it's been easier than I would have expected to, have conversations with really interesting people because I've just kind of put myself out there. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Analytics were really what let me use my skills, as you said, my ancient skills in this new space. So only been using the platform for 3 or 4 months. Feel like there have been a couple light bulb moments where things have really started to click. Um, Initially, I mean, my first real exposure to Dune was I came to one of the office hours that Boxer put on. Asked him some questions, and then he and I worked together a bit on some sushi metrics that I actually never ended up finishing. um, After that, I took a look at some Pi DAO analytics, which is a index type product that I thought was quite interesting, and I was getting involved in that community. And then after that, I started working on some Bolmex data. So really started with DeFi stuff. I think with my background in financial technology, that's really what interests me the most is DeFi and all the composability that exists in DeFi. And I'll talk a little bit later about how I think that composability is coming to NFT as well.
Hmm.
Um, but early, gosh, I don't even know, early July, late June, saw the Wicked Craniums NFT project can't come out and was like, hey, I could probably start to pull some data on this. I think this is a cool project. I like the art. I want a community to share it with. I see how rabid some of these, NFT communities are. And I thought I could bring something of value to them. So working, on that data and really just iterating in public, asking for feedback on Discord and on Twitter. I got really good insight, good suggestions, and then just kind of kept going from there. I would say here too, I see, what's the craziest thing that has happened so far? People reaching out, really. As I said, it was just surprising to me the traction that some of the content got. I've had Ledger Status from Up Only reach out to me about my work. I've had Patricio from POAP reach out as well. It's just been pretty crazy to have people that I really respect in the space initiate conversation with me for work that I just really have a lot of fun doing.
Yeah, that sounds great. Um, yeah, I think yeah, like the reach that you can generate with like simple bits of data that you don't even think are like that hard to construe and just publishing them because everybody is like hunting for the data, but like only very few people have that data, I guess. Is that your feeling as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I've put out some bits of information, and then I've had people privately reach out to me to take that information down or be careful about what I share.
Hmm.
Um, and my response is this is all public information.
Yeah.
It's all on chain. It's all right there. And their feedback is generally yes, but most people don't know how to access it. So again, I think this really just gets back to if you understand how to move around a database, Dune is a superpower.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what many people are actually telling me in DMs and stuff. Like Dune is just magical. Like there's all this data, but they have no way to aggregate that data, and then they discover Dune. They're like, holy shit! Like this is actually possible. Like, would you mind
Yes.
like what kind of information were people saying like, please don't publish this, or like be careful what you put out there? Like, can you share an example?
Yeah, I'd say P&L on NFT projects. So how much money individuals were making.
Ah.
And again, like I think it's so interesting. So much of this data is public, and then it's also really hard for people not to self dox.
Mhm.
It's pretty easy to figure out like who's who and what's going on and what their transactions look like. So maybe kind of a mix of a little bit of a forensic data analysis and on-chain analytics, and then um, never want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. That's never the goal. It's always just looking for information and kind of adopting that open source mindset and assuming that if I share information, people will share information with me as well, which I've found to be quite true.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't think anything that's happening on a public blockchain should ever be kept private by just like not aggregating the data. Because
Yeah.
in essence the data is there and it is transparent. It's just like somebody has aggregated the data now and now it's become like now you can actually tell a story with that data. And I don't think like anyone should ever like argue that something like that should not be aggregated. That's an interesting insight. I've not had that happen to me because I focus like more on DeFi stuff and like project level things,
Mhm.
and not on yeah. I guess some people can get mad if you like show how much money they made or lost on like gambling on gambling on digital cats. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
interesting.
On JPEGs.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So to summarize, like what's the craziest thing? Like lots of people reaching out, and then also like some people are actually mad that you put out the data. So that's yeah, that's interesting. I had not heard about that before. Um, so yeah, so if anyone is really unfamiliar with you, I guess we should really get into your dashboards. But first of all, you as the
This is
master,
my favorite
yeah,
slide.
you
This
as the
is
master of NFTs. Like, can you explain NFTs to my grandma, like real quick?
Yeah, I think when it comes to NFT, the fungible word is the confusing one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm not really going to go into fungible too much, though I guess we'll have to. I think from a high level, fungible means, it's exchangeable one for another version of itself
Yeah.
and divisible generally. So I think the quadrant layout here is the most helpful thing to understand is tangible and fungible. Dollars, we can divide those into cents.
Mm-hmm.
And we can also say, if I give you this dollar and you give me that dollar, no real exchange of value has occurred unless you have some sort of rare collector dollar, in which case we would likely actually put that down in the lower left quadrant. So tangible and fungible dollars, non-tangible and fungible, Bitcoin, Ethereum, generally any ERC20 is going to be, you can swap a compound token for your friend's compound token and no exchange of value has occurred. Um, and then non-fungible, I think most people don't realize that they already own a lot of non-fungible assets. So your car, if you own a car, is a non-fungible asset. You wouldn't trade your car straight up for your neighbor's car because you might have a better model or you might have more miles in your car. There's something about your item that makes it unique, which
Mm-hmm.
makes it non-fungible. It's also divisible. Houses are another good one for the boomer crowd. We know they like real estate, so we see here we have one house that's broken down, another house is in good condition. You can't really swap those one for one. They're unique. And similarly, just like a piece of art,
Yep.
which takes us over to our lower right quadrant where we have non-tangible and non-fungible. So this is going to be, NFT art, which is generally what we see right now. A lot of profile photo projects are coming out, as well as just other types of art like blocks. I think, there are more interesting future use cases. I Boxer warned me not to go too deep on this part, but I actually really think this stuff is really interesting. Composability coming to NFT. So we will see, we already see liquidity pools for NFT projects, which basically act as floor trackers. We see multi coming to the market with Genie Swap, which is going to allow people to swap uh, NFTs to fungible tokens. So you go ERC 721 or 1155 over to 20, and it'll basically just multi hop you through some liquidity pools. We have OTC trading with NFT Trader, where you can create a trade and send it to a partner who will then is the counterparty and execute that trade. We have Fractional, which just released this week and is doing fractional pieces of specific ERC 721s. Bunchy, which is going to do collateralized NFTs for loans. That one's a little concerning, but I saw some interesting discussion today on Twitter around potentially using fractional with a collateralized NFT, basically doing a partial liquidation on the collateral if that comes into play. So I think those are some of the exciting things that are happening now.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the future, the really cool stuff is title. So title to a home or to a car, which will eventually allow us to do on-chain mortgage-backed securities.
Yeah. So basically
Really think,
merging the meat space and the digital space. That's where you think the non-fungible tokens or like these standards that we are seeing now emerging will really shine in the future.
yeah, absolutely. And I will say, going back to my background is in financial technology.
Mm-hmm.
I do like to collect things, but I didn't really see myself as an NFT person so much. Through the 6 weeks looking at NFT, though, I really have a much greater respect for the technology and the communities.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten to talk to some really awesome devs, and I'm really excited about the future of NFT.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope that was a good introduction for anyone who's not like totally familiar with NFTs. But I guess like what we can say is that like non-fungible tokens are like pieces of information that are stored on the blockchain, and like the name implies, they're not like you can't exchange them. What's that?
You got some
We are good.
noise from the
Yeah,
audience.
yeah, we're good to go again. Um, I lost my train of thought, but it's like it's a non-fungible digital piece of information, and the fact that we can all verify that that piece of information is on the blockchain and it's like owned by one account, that is basically the technical innovation here, and that's what makes all of this so exciting.
Yeah, and Boxer, if you don't mind, just a couple use cases there I want to hit on. I think the obvious thing that we see right now is profile photos. What you generally comes from a lot of that too is community access. So I find myself in the communities
Mm-hmm.
where we hold the tokens. It feels like having a ticket to a community, which is pretty cool. You see some other projects that are doing, real world event access based on NFT.
Interesting.
We also have, of course, metaverse type stuff. So that's all quite early.
Yeah.
Personally, not much of a gamer, but I do see, bringing your avatar that you own on the chain in as your avatar in gaming, which could be quite cool. And then co-op is another really cool one, which kind of acts as like they like to say the bookmarks of your life. So, having kind of a on-chain immutable representation of an event that you attended or
Mm-hmm.
something else that's going on that you've been able to receive a co-op for.
Yeah. Yeah, all really interesting. But I think that's enough talking about like the broad level NFT stuff for now. I think we can go into your actual dashboards. And for that, are you able to share a screen and just walk us through some of your dashboards?
Yeah, give me just a minute here.
Yeah, all good. So I will stop streaming for a second, and
Let's see.
I don't have to give you rights or anything, I think.
Cool. So this is the first dashboard that I did on NFT that I really felt like, wow, I did it. All the stuff that I'd done previously was a little more tame, and something that I really loved about using Dune for this was being able to embed photos. So as you see, I've got some of the pieces up here and embedded down here as well. So initially, when I first started looking at the project, it was right after mint. So this dashboard has gone through quite a few iterations, but we really started with these minting stats here on the bottom. How many people
Wait,
minted
wait,
this
wait.
project.
Like let's start like at the very beginning. So this is a dashboard on the Wicked Cranium project, which is an
Yes,
NFT profile picture project.
yes. So these are the Wicked Craniums.
Mm-hmm.
Really like this group. I'm going to share something else that one of their community members is working on later.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
So
yeah,
so
this is, I would
how
say,
did
like,
so how did this start? Like how do like these NFT profile pictures, like how do they come into existence?
well, coming into existence, I can't quite speak to. I can speak to how I came to find out about it. Initially, so I woke up in the middle of the night
Mm-hmm.
one night at 3 a.m., checked Twitter like any sane person does, and saw that people were minting Bored Ape Yacht Club
Uh-huh.
like crazy. So I got my computer out, went to the living room, and was gonna, mint a Bored Ape. And my girlfriend came out. It's 3 in the morning. She's like, "What are you doing?" I didn't want to explain that I was going to spend $300 on a photo of a gorilla, um, so I didn't do it. And I figured, hey, I'll wake up tomorrow. I'll be well rested. I'll make a better decision. And woke up and they were sold out. I saw they minted for, I think, 0.08, maybe 0.06, somewhere in that range. So it was like $300 US at the time. Next day, they were trading around zero point 0.3 Ethereum, and I was like, nah, whatever. It's probably gonna, fall. So I think that the lowest ask on that project right now is around 7 ETH. So it has just been my absolute max pain watching that project take off, not owning one. And another day, months later, I guess this was end of June, I was scrolling Twitter and I saw a user, D's, who is the community manager. And I'm not sure what his complete role is at Fractional, but I know he's involved at Fractional with Andy.
Mm-hmm.
Saw him tweeting out the link to this project, and he said, "Bored apes, but skeletons."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that sounds sweet. I'm going to go mint one of these. So I minted just one
Mm-hmm.
and thought it was cool. And as I mentioned, it was like, I need something to do with Dune right now. I'm done with my Volmex dashboard. Let me, take a little look at NFT really quick. I really started looking at NFT as kind of a procrastination, I will say. I was, wondering what's going to be the next DeFi project that I look at.
Mm-hmm.
And, at this point, it's been 6 weeks and I feel like I'm getting deeper and deeper into NFT. And as I said, I've gained a lot of respect for the space. So I'm enjoying what I'm learning. But, wanted to say, okay, who minted the most of these? There was a lot of discrepancy around when Bored Ape Yacht Club minted that Pranksy controlled the market.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, how's the distribution on this project? It's a little bit better. Still going to see, some people owning many, but we also see here that someone owned over 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
here
that's
we,
that's
our
basically
max.
that's the data that's like right after the minting has stopped. That is the
Yes,
distribution curve. Okay, I
this
see.
is the distribution curve of the minting. So basically, here we see, it's a little bit more of a curve where this one is like a lot of people are getting one.
Uh-huh.
Some people are getting two. Some people are getting 3, 4, 5. And then we rocket. And we see people getting, up quite high here. So when I look at the Wicked Cranium's minting data, I see 300 is the max, pretty good. Also started to look at, like how much gas did people pay minting? I always hear, people are paying a lot of money to mint on these projects. So these were, I believe, 0.06 ETH per mint per item, and
Mm-hmm.
this was 55 ETH in gas paid to mint all 10,762 items.
Mm.
Also took a look at just distribution. So we see that 223 people minted one item, 469 people minted 2 to 5, and then we have our whales over here that are minting, higher numbers.
Yeah, I see. Interesting. And what does that tell you about the project? Like, what would be what's the preferable outcome?
I mean, you definitely want to see a higher distribution. When you run into a situation that's very concentrated, you're basically allowing one person to make the market or
Mm-hmm.
a group of people make the market. All of these NFT communities are very excited about the value of the project, and we'll go there in a moment. Personally, like I'm more interested in distribution. I'm less interested in price, but you do hear, kind of discussion around floor constantly. And when you end up in a situation where one person or a few people control the market, then you can get dumped on. The price can really dump. So then you end up with an angry community. You end up with kind of this cascading collapse of the price. Whereas if you have more of this distributed view, then you should see kind of a more distributed community as well.
Okay, I see. So that also like because like when more wallets have more like wicked craniums or these apes, then it's also like a bigger community, and that like pretty much tells you that like the meme has spread like wide and far.
Yes. Yeah. So if you don't mind me jumping around a little bit, here's kind of, on day one, we had 1616 wallets that were
Mm-hmm.
holding this project. And now we're about, a little over a month later, and we're about double, a little over double on wallets holding the project. So we've seen quite a good, consistent, healthy growth in users. There's another metric I really like to watch over time. If you start to see this dip, people are exiting the project.
Mm-hmm.
There's less interest there. So seeing the community have this healthy growth is good. A really super crazy jump growth would maybe be concerning. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but I would generally want to see something more sustainable.
Yeah, I mean, like crazy jump growth could also be like if Gary Vaynerchuk or like Logan Paul or like
Yes.
any of these influencers, like if they jump on a project and they're like, hey, this is the new hot shit, then maybe your project is in trouble for a short time because then you like invite a lot of flippers into your community, I guess, like people who just like
Yes.
day trade NFTs, I guess. But like some of these people will then stick and you will still have a bigger community. So while it might be like turbulent for prices, like I think like like stock increase somewhere in there would actually not be a like reason of concern.
Yeah. It really, and again, I like how you're talking about like distribution is so important to me. Price is very secondary. And it's easier for me to say that because I only um, buy stuff that I like. I think, in crypto, we've all heard the everything could go to zero thing. And I don't think very many of us actually believe it. But I think in NFT, it's a little bit more the case than in some of these established DeFi protocols.
Welcome you to the course today.
Yep. We have to mute. Oh,
So
everything's working.
going off of kind of this initial distribution, I want to see how does the distribution change over time.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the current state of distribution? So initially we saw on day one, 223 wallets holding one item. Well, now we have over 3,000 wallets holding one item.
Wow.
So really, really good distribution. We've still got a couple people, or sorry, we're looking at apes here. My bad. 2,000 holding craniums in one wallet.
Yeah.
One cranium in a wallet. And then we still have, kind of our bigger players over here that are holding, we have 3 people that are holding over 150 items. Some of those through accumulation or minting, numbers.
Yeah.
But this, again, distribution being important. So obviously, as I made the mistake, we've got apes on here too. Why do we have apes on here? Because I can never get away from the apes, so I figured I may as well throw them in here as well. It's a good thing to compare to. I think, CryptoPunks are the original Avatar project, but what we see right now is everyone trying to replicate the success of the Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Mm-hmm.
So they say, okay, let me compare the current distribution, but let me also look at, crossover between these communities. So, how many people holding in one wallet both a Bored Ape and a Wicked Cranium? And then kind of try to do a little bit of a log chart over here. I still don't really love how this looks. It's hard for me to get this visually. If anyone has any ideas, I would love to hear them because I think it'd be really cool to get this graphically displayed better.
Mm-hmm.
Also, again, going back to like who controls the market, want to look at like the top 25 owners and say, what's the count that they're holding?
Mm-hmm.
238 top holder right now. That's 2.21% of the supply. Kind of gives us a better understanding of like what kind of impact they can have on the market.
Yeah. Yeah. If that guy just says like, hey, I'm gonna rage quit now, then only 2% of the actual supply will get dropped on the market.
Yes. And then, of course, as I mentioned, people always really want to look at sales metrics. So here we have top 10 sales in the project. I think it's really interesting. A lot of what I see in NFT is that these sales that are really high occurred right after mint. So, we're in July now, but these high sales are the day or the week of the mint. So we have stuff as high as, $44,000. That's, pretty nice car in a mint.
Yeah, I think everywhere in the world. Yeah.
Also, and I think too, I want to, shout out 0x Wave on Twitter. I forked a lot of his code to get going on this, and took some of his ideas as well. So I thought he had some really cool ideas looking at what are the most frequently traded Bored Apes? That was the project he was looking at. And, we can see, okay, this particular item has changed hands 8 times for a total volume of 1.8.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. And then this is, where we start to get into the why are you looking at my wallet conversation. But again, all this data is public. So, who's selling the most items? Who's buying the most items? And then if we combine these data sets, we can start to look at profit margin. So we can say who is really crushing it. I think, I did a little bit of a Etherscan deep dive on this wallet. And interestingly, this wallet basically acted as a holding account. So the person who minted 300 items transferred 294 to this account and sold all of those items. So that's how we can have an account with 0 mints, 0 purchases, and 294 sales.
Yeah. That might be some tax evasion scheme going on. Just saying. Yeah, there's like creative ways to use NFTs to use NFTs for those cases.
Yeah, it could also be a privacy thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but did he I don't think there's a way to like send your NFTs through Tornado yet, right?
No. It would be, if items are unique.
Yeah.
So
it's
putting them through any sort of Tumblr or bouncer would not work.
Yeah, yeah, that's. I should have thought about that before, I guess. Yeah, it's like this item has been sent somewhere and it's appearing somewhere else, but it's non-fungible. Like, where could this have originated from? Yeah, there's absolutely no way. Maybe if you're smart, you can trade it into like an NFTX or N20 pool, and then make it reappear somewhere else by buying it from the pool again. But then I guess you can't tax evade anymore. But that would be a way to like clean your NFT like off traces.
Yeah, it'd be a dangerous play. I mean, beyond like the obvious legal danger there, from just like a transaction ordering, you could definitely
somebody could
have your
just
item taken out.
Yeah, somebody could just snack it from the pool. Yeah, interesting to think about. So and then you have a floor tracker. So how's like what's the NFT floor like in this case? Like how do you calculate that?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question because people always, if you're in these NFT discords, the exclamation mark floor, and then the Discord bot will tell you what the cheapest item on OpenSea is in the project. So OpenSea listings are not on chain, so really no way to look at what the lowest ask is for an item. I actually find the way that I'm calculating it here more interesting to me because this is the lower 33rd percentile of sales on any given time period. So I kind of think about like when I go to try to value something on eBay, you can go look and see what people are asking, but a more accurate representation of what an item is worth is what people are buying it for, not what people are selling it for. So we can see here, grouped by day, what's the lowest 33rd percentile of a project. And you do in like these hourly view get weird spikes just because you might not have a lot of product flow in that time period. So it's not like, oh, something crazy happened and we jumped up. It's more just that there weren't a lot of trades in this time period.
Yeah, I see. So basically, if there's 10 trades in a day, you take like the lowest 3, and then you like add those prices together, divide them by 3, and then that's your floor price.
Yeah, I suck at math, but I'm pretty sure it would be like taking the third one. You basically are saying, if you have 10 items in there, you take like the third.
So you take the
ranked.
the 33rd percentile basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
I see. Okay, interesting. So yeah, I guess I fully agree that this seems to be a better way of tracking floor price than the prices that get put into OpenSea, because you never know, like, has this actually been sold? But this is rather like you said, like on eBay, you also like you don't look for the asks, you look for the bids.
Yes, exactly. And again, I think good opportunity here to shout out the Dune community. I was having some issues with accepted wrapped Ethereum bids, and those weren't, initially coming into my data set properly. So thankfully was able to reach out to the community here and, get some insight into how to handle those transactions, which were a little different than the standard ones I was looking at.
Yeah. Can you just open the query for a second so people that are uninitiated with Dune can just take a look at what goes on behind the curtain?
Yep, it's only 18 lines.
Yeah.
It's nice and simple.
OpenSea.Wyvern Exchange, okay. Okay. So basically you're just querying for OpenSea contracts and you're just saying then you're basically like doing a bit of math with that and just saying give me the 33rd percentile of sales.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
And then, depending on how familiar you are with Dune, you'll quickly figure out, this. You got to divide everything by the number of decimals to get the right price. It took me a while to figure it out, but it was kind of stuck in the end.
Yeah.
And then also just kind of pulled out the minting transactions from this data set.
I see.
And, we have NFT trades now, which would be a much better data set to use for this.
Yep.
But it was kind of just working with what was out there at the time.
Yeah, I think this is totally I think this is really interesting for people who are like not familiar with Yundo. So basically, what Danner or Drake is doing here is like he's looking at the OpenSea contract. Then he's organizing that data a bit. Like he's saying don't include the mint events, which is in line 15. And what are you doing actually in line 6 to 9 or 6 to 10? Is that just filtering out I think you're just filtering for transactions where wicked craniums have actually been involved, right?
Yeah, which is strange. Looking at it right now, I really don't.
Yeah, you could have solved that easier, I think.
Oh, here we go. I think so too. I don't really totally understand. These are the calls to the atomic match, and these are the events on the orders match. So calls and events are another thing that initially with Dune and kind of on-chain data took me a little bit of time to understand, but users will make calls to functions, and if those calls are successful and that function emits an event, then we'll get an event as well. So, yeah, I think you're right, Boxer. There's definitely got to be a cleaner way to take some lines out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care as long as the data is correct. It's perfect. Like maybe not as easy to fork for some other people, but yeah, perfectly fine. Yeah, thanks for that little peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see if there's anything else in here. I think buyers and sellers is another thing that people are interested in. They want to see, are more people exiting a community on a given day or more people entering a community on a given day? Volume on a per day basis as well.
Let's revisit your last point. Like that would not, like, you're not differentiating between people who like sell all of their wicked craniums, but you are rather just saying like, hey, like on any given day, like 186 people have bought and 246 people have sold, right? Like you're not only counting wallets where the count of wicked craniums in their wallet is 1.
Correct.
Okay,
It's just kind of looking at distinct addresses that are, either trading to acquire or trading to sell.
Okay.
And regardless of the size of those trades.
Yeah, I was concerned because you said like exiting the community, and I think like a better phrase would be like how active is the community in like actually trading there. Like I think the title of the chart is perfectly fine, like daily buyers and sellers, but like people are not exiting the community. Like maybe someone has 10 wicked craniums, and then if he sells one, he has not exited the community, Like
yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that point home.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that you could kind of read this as like an activity graph of the community. Like I guess. Like that's like, it's so hard to interpret some of this data sometimes because like you could always go a level deeper. Like for example, like if you would, but then you have done that like further down with the distribution graph already. Like if you see like the distribution graph going down, like then it's actually people exiting the community. But like this, it's basically
Exactly.
like it's kind of like a trade volume count. Like it's not trade volume like in terms of US dollar or Ether, but rather it's like I don't know, trade volume.
Yeah, I think
Trade
what would
counts.
be like, sometimes what I'll do is take screenshots and overlay annotations on them. We can point to this particular day as being the day that this Wicked Cranium team mentioned that they were going to have an airdrop, or
Hmm.
it's like a claimable companion item for all of the holders. So whenever we have these types of news events, then we'll start to see activity occur. Similarly, here, I believe this is the day that they announced that Wicked Cranium holders would be receiving a claimable item from Wonder, which is another artist in the space. So when we see these announcements, we really do see these jumps.
Interesting. So who do you think is buying at those points? Is it just like open asks on OpenSea that then get filled, or is there
Yeah,
people
I
who
think
like
so.
actively sell into these events?
I think it is mostly open asks being taken. The other thing that's quite interesting in NFT on OpenSea is we have quite a few bots.
Mm-hmm.
I think Herkshire Bathaway is one of the most well-known ones that is just constantly bidding below the floor,
Yeah.
and will kind of move their bids up as the floor rises, and people will eventually accept those bids, and then that bot will relist the item at the new floor. So there's been some pretty interesting analytics done on the success of those bots, and
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of raking in money, basically providing liquidity to people that are looking to sell, and then relisting with a longer time horizon.
Yeah. Interesting. That's a cool name as well.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Berkshire
creativity.
Pathway.
Yeah. The creativity of these people. Yeah. Great. So there you actually have the daily volume chart. So
Yes.
yeah, interesting how similar that one is to the actual like unique buyers and sellers.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of right. We've got the volume on the day, and then we need to see generally people trading within that volume. If we can go back, this one is particularly interesting to me. I get a lot of questions about what this graph is showing, but
Mm-hmm.
it's basically showing how many sales have occurred at this price historically.
Ah.
So if we remember, the highest sale was at 19 ETH. We have one sale over there. We have one at 17.5,
Mm-hmm.
one at 3 at 10. We generally will see these spikes around the 2.5, 3, 4
Yeah.
on many NFT projects because of unit bias. So
Yep.
um, you would expect to see this number in a successful project move to the right over time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be interested to see how that plays out with this particular project.
Yeah. Yeah. How cool would a 3D graph be? Like showing that like over time and like the distribution.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's something I'll throw at my engineers. give me 3D graphs. Yeah, it's probably not a
Yeah, tell them
problem at
I
all.
want I want like a video that moves it over time. That would be so cool.
Ah, yeah, yeah. There's actually yeah. Let's not get into that. There's some tools which are open source that actually do that. Um, yeah. So can you just show us like some wicked craniums on OpenSea for a second? Because I think like
Yeah.
now that we've talked, like
Yeah,
we
yeah,
should have
yeah.
done this at the beginning, but like
Yeah, give me just a minute to.
yeah, maybe start a private tab so you don't like leak anything that you don't want to leak.
Right, right.
If there's questions from anyone, you can chime in right now while Darren is organizing himself, I guess. Oh, no questions. We'll just continue. uh, yeah. So those are the wicked craniums.
The cartoon skeletons, man, but I like them.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Can you just sort them by price ascending?
I had a quick question about, sorry if we want to we can go back to questions. But I was wondering if
No,
there's
go ahead.
like, thanks for the presentation, really loving it. But I was wondering if there's any examples of like kind of suspicious activity that you've seen where, potentially like the NFT creators are kind of like doing something that's not exactly in the best interest of like the, hodlers kind of thing.
Not necessarily in the data yet. I mean, I've seen like suspicious activity insofar as that wallet that minted 300 and then transferred a lot to sell them. But I think maybe that's more. I would see that more as like a privacy tactic than anything else, and kind of just give them the benefit of the doubt. I was chatting with someone yesterday who was trying to exit an item through a liquidity pool, which will give you ERC20s that represent a claim to any asset, any NFT in the pool. And then once he got those ERC20s, he realized there was no liquidity for those to swap those back to Ether. So he's kind of stuck with some items that don't really have any value. And the way the liquidity pools work is they'll take a fee. So you need, say, 100 ERC20s to claim the ERC 721, but they'll give you 95 when you put an item in. So he's kind of stuck with stuck missing 5 of the ERC20s needed to be able to access anything in a pool. That seemed pretty improper to me because the community wallet should be funding liquidity.
Yeah, interesting point. Yeah, that seems like a design it's probably intentional design, but that doesn't sound very nice if you like provide liquidity and then you're just stuck. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that question. That's certainly, yeah. I think that's certainly something people should look out for in the future, like especially like with smaller projects and like less well-known projects and projects that have not been as successful. I can imagine that the like artists or like the project leaders of like projects like just mint a bunch of um, their own token basically and just dump it on the market over time. But you can't ever really tell because it's all just a bunch of addresses. Like somebody can just fund an address through Tornado and then mint a bunch of them, and nobody will ever be the wiser that this has actually been the team. So
Yeah.
I guess it's all based on trust, and like if it ever comes out, the project is basically dead, I'd say. So
Yes.
the like project owners are really playing with fire if they would ever engage in something like that. But then on the other hand, like it would be really easy to like not be caught doing something like that. So yeah, it's a like double-edged sword. Maybe there will be restrictions on who can mint in the future, which would be a case for POAPs. Yeah,
Yeah, it
like
would.
seriously.
It would.
Yeah, if you can prove your like degency like on chain or like have at least like some degen score or like any other form of like formal verification, or like you need to have at least like 500 transactions or something in order to be able to mint, like that would already like, yeah, you could just spam transactions to get to the 500 transactions. So I guess like a POAP would actually be a like a pretty good thing. Proof of a tendency, it's called, right?
Yes, proof of attendance
Yeah,
protocol.
yeah. That would actually. Yeah, I gotta talk to some people. Yeah. So that was the Wicked Cranium dashboard, and then so now that we've seen a dashboard on one project, I guess you have also built a dashboard that focuses not only on one project but on all the projects.
Yeah, so I was coming home one night, like 11 or 12, and was on the train, and it hit me. I was like, I bet I could use that code for a lot of projects. And I probably stayed up till 6 a.m. just working, making different queries, getting them on here. I think another thing that's really nice with NFT dashboards is you can use the colors and match them to the art, and people love it. Well, at least I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a beautiful dashboard.
I appreciate that, Boxer. As I was, working on stuff, I just go on Twitter and say, what else do you guys want to see here? Like, okay, 4-Day Kennel Club, sure, we can add that on there. We can get some nice little dog emojis in here. Gutter cats, sure, easy enough, throw them on there. Cool cats as well. So again, this kind of just gets back to I really believe in building in public and iterating in public, and I'm very okay putting out work that's not complete when it's more of a hobby thing, because that allows me to find the direction from the community. I like to build what I like to build, but I also like to take input and thoughts from others as I build.
Yeah. Interesting.
Eventually, this
So
led to
let's actually look at some of the data here. I think that a lot of people are not like familiar with like how well distributed or how like not distributed like projects are. And I think if we just look at the like unique owners of like these different projects, so this one has like 4, like that number is actually hilarious. 4,269. The stars lined up perfectly. The one above that, like, oh man, somebody made that on purpose.
they're doing well. They're doing well.
Yeah, so 4,200 people have, or like 4,200 wallets have like one of these profile pictures NFTs in their wallet.
Yeah. So this was a project that the Bored Ape Yacht Club team put out as a claimable item. If you owned a Bored Ape, you could claim one of these Bored Ape Kennel Club items.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like they didn't have a full claiming, because I would expect they probably offered one dog for one ape. And we see here that only 9602 exist. And we see that one person owns 144, which is quite a lot of JPEGs.
Mm-hmm.
So this, currently distributed is, as Boxer said, 4,269. Like to throw a lot of percentile stuff in here as well. So the 25th percentile, the wallet distribution owns 1. We can see that down here. 75th percentile owns 2. So that means like really the community is going to be focused around, or rather the wallets of these wallets really made up mostly of these numbers.
Mm-hmm. So that's like, one could say that this is like a really well distributed project.
Yeah, I'd say that one's pretty well distributed. I think the Bored Apes are one of the most well distributed projects. I will say they've really been making a push over the past couple weeks towards that 5,000 unique owners count, which will bring us to like an average of 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think for distribution type stuff, average is never really as valuable as median or percentile. So I really like to look at this is the range of where most of the stuff is. Most people own 1 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is one of the best distributed. Craniums are pretty good. Obviously, I'm a bit biased. Bored Ape Kennel Club looks good as well. And I mean, it really kind of got to the point in July that, if you can think of an animal, someone's probably making a project about it. Multiple cat projects. We had stoner cats yesterday. These deadheads came out. I thought it was fun to use the coffin emoji in here. I could be wrong, but I think this is another project that Gary Vaynerchuk has kind of associated himself with.
Mm-hmm.
Here, speaking of which, VFriends, which actually is quite well distributed, other than this one wallet that's holding over 1,000, which is quite interesting. That's quite a big jump too from the other wallet that is large, owns 121 to 150.
Mm-hmm.
And then we really started to get into like some more reasonable distribution, but there is, and I don't know if this is a community wallet that they're using for giveaways, or if this is an individual. So I don't want to say anything there, but that's definitely something that I would look into more.
Yep. Yeah. Interesting. You said you had the stoner cats are already in there. Like that was just yesterday, right?
I don't think they're in here. There's a lot of different cats.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's the cool cats. Yeah, I was like, holy shit, you've already integrated the stoner cat. Okay.
Punks are interesting. Punks are actually an ERC20 that operated as one of the first attempts at a non-fungible asset in the space. So they have this wrapping mechanism. I don't have the wrapping properly figured out either. We have another analyst here in the Dune community. I believe his name is Seta. who does quite a bit of stuff on punks. So if you're interested in that, I would check out his work.
Mm-hmm.
There are goats, there are horses, and then I really love these, the Bastard Game version 2. These are done by an artist that has like a art science masters, and we've seen quite a run up on these over the past 6 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
This also was the moment that I realized that you could embed a GIF in a Dune dashboard.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that
it makes it alive, man. It's great.
and if I can just jump over here real quick, then I did a whole dashboard on these because I was like, I need to throw as many GIFs on this thing as I can. And it's just great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really alive. Yeah, I love how you're telling stories with your data. Like scrolling through this dashboard really like makes you like you can understand what's happening basically in this project.
Yeah, I I'm still getting better there. I think that's something that's all of us that do any type of data analysis can always get better at. And I will say that using Dune for dashboarding has helped me do this better in my day job as well. Doing more dashboarding, using some of these complicated query concepts that I'm working with the community on, and then like telling a story with the data has been really helpful. Where I work as well.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
We also had dueling rug projects in July because nothing makes sense anymore.
Yeah.
So
So what's the most distributed project right now? I guess it is the apes, the
yeah,
Bored
I
Ape
mean,
Yacht Club.
yeah, I would have to I guess look deeper at everything to
1,500.
answer with full certainty. But based on what I've looked at, the apes are doing a fantastic
And they're
job.
almost at 5,000. I think that's the highest value on the dashboard.
Yeah,
So interesting. So all of this like noise about NFT and all of this like stuff that's happening with NFTs, it's all just maybe like 10,000 people.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
really interesting. Like there's so much like like you read daily about it on crypto Twitter, and there's so much like volume on like OpenSea, and like it's just crazy how much noise this, or like how much noise and signal like at the same time this is generating, and it's like in the end it's just like maybe 10,000 people. Like we should
So
coordinate and like make a query that tracks like all of these projects and then like unique wallets that have interacted with them. I think that would be interesting. Like we could probably
yeah,
throw that into Richard Chen's like DeFi. Yeah, I mean it's not DeFi, but it's like Ethereum ecosystem users. Yeah, that would be interesting. Just brainstorming.
actually, if you give me just a moment here, I have pulled some data around users using ERC 721.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I guess that's too general because ERC 721 is like it's just a open standard, right? So like everything is using this. So if you're minting like a Uniswap v3 position, you will also
Yep.
you will also have a like ERC 721, or if you mint POEP, it's also like an ERC 721. But like in this particular case, like I was interested in the actual art, like or these
Yeah.
like profile picture NFT stuff. So that's like if anyone is out there who's looking for some work that would probably like generate some noise on Twitter, like that's your call.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely, Boxer, because like this one up here, we have kind of an input here where we can put in any contract we want.
Mm-hmm.
And I just defaulted it to show ENSs. So
Ah, I
we
see.
have, nearly 80,000 ENS owners, 450,000 ENS exist. Most people own 1 to 2
Mm-hmm.
ENS.
Mm-hmm.
Someone owns 41,000 because they're probably squatting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 41,000. Yeah, that's a lot. Interesting.
But yeah, this was where I went after Wicked Craniums, and then the last thing I had that other you know vegan punk one, which I've started to basically take a lot of the queries here and just the stuff on my Wicked Craniums dashboard and make them extendable so that you could use just a contract input instead of any decoded contracts. And eventually hope to get to a point where we can basically have an NFT dashboard or an ERC 721 dashboard where you can pull all kinds of metrics just using a contract address. The only thing that kind of bums me out there is the you lose the art.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll find a way to still have the art. We will have to see if there's a possibility for that. Yeah, but this has been quite interesting, and I was not aware that it was this little people actually interacting with all of these protocols, because you've done some overlap analysis, right? And the the overlap is like quite big between all of these projects, I would guess.
Yes. There's another analyst in the Wicked Craniums community who goes by BRAP, who has forked quite a bit of code from Dune and is doing some analytics on overlap. And I think has actually created a query with parameters where you can just say, what's the overlap between these two projects? So we've been looking at ways to understand, multiple, like if we could do Venn diagrams between 3 products, that would be quite cool.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. You have stopped sharing your screen, just FYI.
Yes.
Yeah. So just making sure that we're on the same page. So yeah, that was your dashboards. Thank you for all of this. Your dashboards are really amazing, and I love looking at them. And I think like, especially like from a like aesthetics like perspective, you really like set a new standard on Dune. So huge props for that, and yeah. Great stuff.
Appreciate that, Boxer. Wouldn't be here without you.
Yeah. Happy to have contributed to it. So yeah, we talked about distribution, on-chain volume, floor prices. So I guess we can just go on to our next topic, which would be NFT analytics beyond Dune. But I think we are already running like an hour. So I guess for the sake of our audience,
super quick on it. Quick on it, Boxer, if you don't mind. Just trait data. Constantly get asked about trait data. Trait data is not on chain. So we look at other tools to understand trait data and how rare a trait is. And then there's also a developer who's working in the Wicked Craniums community who has built an aesthetics ranking app, which basically operates as like a hot or not, where you get 2 different items next to each other within a project and say, do you like this one better or that one better? It uses ELO ranking, which is what we use in chess to understand the impact of one item being deemed more appealing than the other one. So, Rarity Tools is fantastic for this type. How rare is something, but I'm really excited to see how aesthetic ranking comes into play. And I think Shando is the name of that developer on Discord. I follow him on Twitter as well. I'm really excited to see what he and IB Rosen are putting out.
Yeah. So this is basically somebody has mathematically calculated like how often, or like he has pulled the data and then he has calculated like what is actually the rarest combination of traits, and in that way you can basically like, so the clothes are like really rare, the background is really rare, the eyes are pretty rare, and so on and so on. And that way you can then like, you could kind of make a price for this. And what you're saying is basically, so there's 2 ways of evaluating these NFTs. And one way is basically like, hey, we take a look at the data, and then there's like these different traits. The traits for Wicked Craniums are basically background, body, head, clothes, eyes, and mouth. And like the combination of each of these, like how often they are like in the whole data set, will then determine like kind of the price of the individual piece.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I think though, what really goes beyond rarity is appearance. Like personally for me, some of these rare items aren't the best looking ones. So sure, it's rare, but like I don't really think that those traits go together. The one that you have pulled up right now.
Yeah, this one is really shitty. Like, whoever has this, like, I'm sorry. Like, of course it has rare traits, but like, it looks pretty shitty. So
it looks like the lowest price for that one right now would be 5 ETH. based on the clothes, which are very rare, which is crazy. And that's a $10,000 JPEG of a skeleton.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the other way that you're talking about is like, is the app of the developer actually live?
No, it's not live
Okay,
actually.
okay, I see.
So the Wicked Craniums community had a hackathon this past weekend, and he and his partner on the development team like worked through it really quick. So there's a demo video out which I can share in the Dune Discord later.
Yep.
I'm really excited about that. I think it's actually it's the first time I've seen it being done in NFT. So I'm talking to them quite a bit to see if we can maybe extend it to other projects in the future. And I think it will create a really quantifiable data set for qualitative attributes.
Yeah. The problem there again is what are you gonna do about bots like just voting for one thing or the other? And I think a POAP is in is in order again.
We gotta get in touch with them, man.
Yeah, like the more like you've really put the bug in me. Like now I'm thinking about POAPs all the time. Like, but it would actually work. Like that's a like a clear distinct use case that one could like. Wow. Yeah. Interesting. So yeah. So that's NFT Analytics Beyond Dune, and what I want to note here is that like Rarity, like it's not on chain, but like you can see that Rarity.tools is like able to pull that data, and you, Drake, have actually like imported this data into our database as well, right?
Yes. So I did a pull request with the Dune repo on GitHub and started to get the trait data for the craniums into Dune. So we can I started last night to do some like floor analytics on different traits and say, how does this trait look over time, which is quite awesome. I think the only other NFT project with traits is Seda did a CryptoPunk attribute pull request as well. So I think it's really awesome to bring that in.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll like we Team Dune, we will observe the situation, and if it's something that that generates lots of excitement and is useful to people, I guess we could also like look at implementing those in a more like bigger scale. So yeah, that's NFT Analytics Beyond Dune, but as you can see, like what Danner has done on Dune is like it's probably some of the best analytics out there on some of these projects, and seeing how fast Danner has Drake has gained in popularity on Twitter and like who's reaching out to him, it seems to be really valuable stuff. So if you're looking for a job or anything to do on Dune and you want to build some Twitter cloud or anything, I can only recommend to jump on new NFT projects. For example, like a dashboard like on Stoner Cats. If you would have produced it like by today or like even yesterday, like a few hours after mint, like you would have gotten like probably like 50,000 impressions on Twitter or something. Like the numbers really rise very fast if you produce good work. So yeah, I guess the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and that we have talked about extensively already, is like, what do you think about like the value that these communities actually bring to the ecosystem, and like how the ecosystem behaves like in general, I guess. And I guess we can start off with like your experience of like the different discords and how like I guess start with the Dune Analytics Discord. Like how did that actually help you like succeed in your journey to become a like DeFi analyst?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I started getting into Discord a little bit, which might have been like 6 months ago, it was really interesting to see like people were having open calls. Developers have open calls in Discord about the projects that they're working on. You can come observe things. And I saw, Boxer was going to lead a Dune office hours and kind of just do open question and answer. I jumped in there and was able to, interact with you, Boxer, a little bit, ask you some questions, start a little bit of a back and forth and open up a dialogue. So I think for me, you've said to me one time, like basically we wouldn't crypto the way that we have it right now without Discord. Was kind of a view that you shared, and we were laughing about it, but I really think it's very true. The ability to jump in and out of the different communities and see each other in different communities. I know Boxer, you and I have been on calls in down together where it's like, oh hey, nice to see you here as well.
Yeah.
So Discord, I think, is probably my favorite application right now, other than Dune. Twitter, fantastic as well. I generally like find myself kind of just throwing things out there, and if people reach out and want to chat, then I'll kind of try to bring that back to Discord.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think Discord is kind of the glue holding a lot of what's being built, at least the stuff that I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that we would not be where we are in DeFi and NFT, and just from an ecosystem perspective, without Discord.
Yeah, that's my experience as well. Like obviously, like I'm working on Discord every day, like answering a lot of support questions in here and stuff. But what I see when I venture out into other Discords is that like each Discord has like a distinct culture, and I think like all of these Discords basically prove that decentralization can work, because like there's no Twitter police that's interacting there, but it's rather like all of these decentralized actors like keep each other like in I don't know, in boundaries. And like there's like the most civil discussions are happening actually in Discords with like random like anime characters. And it's just like so amazing to see that like people are able to self-organize, and that they are able to like respect the rules of a certain place and like adapt to the culture of that place. So I'm like 100% not the same person when I'm in the Dune Discord and when I'm hanging out in pickle.finance like a lot, and like it's just like you basically have like different identities like that merge into the culture of that specific like room that you are in. And I think it's so interesting that like on Twitter you can only be like one personality, and like there's only one. Of course, like there's a lot of sub Twitters basically, but on Twitter like everything's merged together. But because like all of these Discords are split into different like first of all these like, how do you call them, like not channels but like I guess groups, like just the Dune Analytics Discord is like its own like Discord. Like it's very hard to formulate that, but yeah, I think like the crypto ecosystem wouldn't be where it is like without the like interactivity and like the, I don't know, like the whole thing that Discord offers you. Because it's like if we would all be on Microsoft Office or Slack or something, like it's just not as lively as Discord actually is, because like you can customize Discord so much. So like big shout out to the Discord team, wherever they are. It's a amazing tool. And yeah, I think what you said about crypto Twitter, that it's like basically you make connections on crypto Twitter and then you take them either to Telegram or you take them to back to Discord, because it's just like so much more convenient to actually talk and like do video calls and like do everything on there.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations on how to network in crypto?
Just put yourself out there, produce value, produce content. Don't be afraid to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Just do stuff. I really can't emphasize that enough. Like, you can self-limit as long as you want, but if you just start to do stuff, put yourself out there, chat up Boxer, chat up me, chat up anyone in any of these Discords, and look for an opportunity to learn and look for an opportunity to provide value. That's all I can really say about networking.
Yeah.
The network will find you.
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's all. That's also like the last slide. I know you don't work in crypto yet. Maybe you will never will. I don't know. So
I have some thoughts on this, Boxer, but why don't you kick it off, because I know you have a journey here.
Yeah. So my recommendation to anyone, like I can basically just repeat what you just said. It's like, put yourself out there. Like, don't wait for people to like get to you. And like what I'm seeing in a lot of the Dune applications actually, like it's just like you actually like need to provide the proof that you are able to interact within the Ethereum ecosystem. Like if you have a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration or even a Master of whatever, like I don't care. Like you need to prove to me that you are able to understand this like really like cutting edge technology. And if you can provide like any proof, like send me your Degen score in your application. Like I'm really serious. Like because all of this is so new and like all of this is so like uncharted territories. Like I think a lot of the like uh, traditional like ways of signaling that you're a person who has like contributed to something or is like able to do something, they just fly out of the window because it's like there's such a different skill set that's needed here. Like maybe not a different skill set, but it's like you need a lot of knowledge to be able to interact within this ecosystem, because like everything is like composable and everything stacks on top of each other, and you need to prove to me basically that you have already put in the work in like getting that information into your brain, and that you will continue to do so in the future. Because it's like if I like hire a great like PostgreSQL developer now, and I need to teach him like the whole of DeFi, and like every time I send him to a new protocol, like hey, what's Aave, hey, what's Compound, hey, what's Uniswap, hey, what's Yearn, like I will never finish explaining this to you. So it's like if you want a job in DeFi or in crypto in more general, like I think the main thing that your application should focus on is like how deep are you into the DeFi ecosystem. Like if you feel comfortable, like share your wallet. Like it's like like I'm gonna see that you have $20,000 on there. Like I don't care. Like I'm here to like hire you and like even give you more money, I guess. like, like I'm not gonna care. Like send me your Degen score and like try to censor it or something. But like the best way to do it is like what Drake is doing at the moment is like just putting himself out there, writing like Medium articles, like doing a Dune dashboard, contributing to some protocol. Like if you've like maybe you have like discussed like hot topic in the sushi governance forum like a few days ago, and then like just send me your like profile of the sushi swap thing, and then I will check that, and maybe I will like try to make sure that it's actually you. But if you like use a consistent username across like Twitter and like all of these different like forums and like Discord and whatever, then I can like basically verify that it's you just from your Twitter handle. And then like I can already see that like hey, this guy has put thought into what's happening in the crypto space, and he's actively like he's a participant and he's not just an observer. And that's what I'm really looking for like when I'm hiring people at the moment. So that was I guess that got a little bit long. Like now you're interviewing me, I guess. But that's my like Eli 5 on how to get a job in crypto, and like what I'm like I hate to see like I'm like not to hate on those applicants who are like in other full-time jobs, and like they have a whole life to live like outside of DeFi. Like I understand that, but I think like the way the industry is like going right now, like we are all looking for talent, but we are also all very of like um hiring wrong people and needing to teach them too much, I guess. Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that?
Um, I would, again, it's just the same as networking. Just put your stuff out there. I've gotten, I think, 5 or 6 unsolicited job offers over the past month just by putting my stuff out there. It's crazy and it's not expected by any means. I really, love, appreciate, respect the company I work for right now. So not necessarily looking to, jump ship.
Hmm.
But you just put yourself out there, and again, the network will find you.
Yeah. Yeah. Talented people are needed, folks. It's up to you to rise up to the opportunity and yeah, put yourself out there, and eventually someone will notice you. Like I see a lot of like people just get hired off of Twitter nowadays. I think that's
Mhm.
that's the thing. Yeah. So thank you so much for this, Drake. I think this has been really insightful for a lot of listeners, and I hope like the YouTube recording of this will generate some views as well. And yeah, just hope that this has been helpful. And I guess we can, if there's any open questions, if you want to ask Drake and me something, now is your chance.
Thank you both. This was great.
Happy to do it.
No questions. We answered everything.
Oh, sure. I have a question.
Yeah.
How different is it querying NFTs from regular tokens?
Querying ERC 720 is easier than querying ERC 20. Far easier. They're non-fungible, so they're easy to track in a specific token moving around the ecosystem. There's token IDs on most data sets in Dune, and you never have to worry about fractions or figuring out division. It's always just one item moving around. Now, that's going to get kicked up a notch when we start to look at the liquidity pools or the collateralization or multi-hop. I mean, frankly, like if you look at what Genie Swap is putting out, it's going to be an absolute headache to query. It's beautiful technology, but I am nervous to get into that data because Scott and Vasa over there are doing some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, I can agree to that sentiment. Like in general, like ERC 721s are not that hard to query because it's just like it's pretty standard transactions. Like there's no weird stuff happening. It's not like layers of protocols stacked on top of each other. But I also share the sentiment that this might get harder like in the near future with Genie coming up, and also I think like these liquidity floors or like these LP pools, they will pick up more in popularity, I guess. And then we are at the stage of like protocol stacked on top of protocol again, and then it's gonna get harder again. But right now, like NFT data is actually really clean.
Drake, I got a question for you.
What's up?
Sorry.
Skulls back skulls, man. So, hey, what's the next thing within NFTs or outside that you want to get into as far as analytics? Is
I
there
mean,
something that you're like waiting to dive into?
I really do want to start looking at the composability of ERC 721, the stuff that Boxer just mentioned with the liquidity pools and multi-op, like particularly Genie. I mean, that's going to turn into protocols on top of protocols where they're going to send ERCs 721s through liquidity pools, exit those, and then potentially go through more liquidity pools. I saw Vasa put out a transaction that had, I think, 12 or 16, something ridiculous sub transactions inside of it. So starting to look at that is really going to be quite mind blowing and difficult, but it should be a really fun challenge. Skulls back skulls.
Yeah, I guess if there's no more questions, we can just wrap this up.
Thought we might have had one more. Was that you, Casuto?
Yeah. I was wondering about the sales, the prices, because I think you mentioned that that part is not on chain, or it's
So
a layer two or something.
sales are on chain, thankfully. Listings are off chain. OpenSea listings are off chain. OpenSea, I'm not quite sure how their tech works, but allows you to do quite a few things gas free. And you have to, the first time you list something within a project, you have to approve the spending of that token, but you don't actually put the listing itself on chain. Creates a similar, not on chain, private sales. So like, if you do an OpenSea private sale, that will be on chain. But if you and your buddy are going to trade some tokens back and forth, like that's going to be quite hard to actually identify as well.
Right.
Yeah, I
So
guess.
thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will
guess
say,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
one more thing that OpenSea and Rarible do, and probably some of these other aggregator and minting platforms, is they'll offer what's called like a shared contract or a shared storefront. So on OpenSea, you can go, mint your own project without actually launching your own contract. That type of stuff I have not found the way to track that yet. So like my avatar right now, this like skull that I have, was minted through OpenSea shared storefront, so I can't really track that project as easily as just like something that's own distinct contract. So if anyone's interested in launching their own project, I would recommend going, the whole way and doing a contract for that.
What about L2? Obviously, that's going to make all of this a lot easier and cheaper. Have you guys heard about, I guess, how we're moving onto there in the NFT space?
Yeah, so I don't think we can keep doing what we're doing. Like, we can't have it that we're going to mint, 10,000 cat JPEGs and then we're going to like shut down the whole network. It doesn't really make sense as far as like DeFi. I do think NFT will move to L2, but it's not something that I've looked at too much. Since I don't work in crypto, I really don't have as much time as I would like to throw at some of this stuff. So I really just kind of focus on Ethereum layer 1 for now.
Yeah, I think.
But we're going that direction.
Yeah, Matic is OpenSea is live on Matic, I think. So I expect some more projects to launch on Matic, but it still seems to be that like the highest value transactions like just settle on ETH because like people just trust this layer more, I guess. So that seems to be the state of things right now. Like, I've not had any questions in the Dune Discord about like layer 2, like NFT analytics. People like there can't be that much activity because otherwise somebody would ask me about it, I'm pretty sure.
There is one really interesting case going back to POAP, where POAP actually mints on XDAI and then allows you to bridge back to L1. So they've kind of got like a hybrid model where they've really optimized minting to be very cheap. And then if you want, you can kind of bridge that back to your L1 position or just leave that on XDAI.
Ah, interesting. So you can basically be like, hey, this POAP is important to me. I need it for something like to verify my authenticity on like layer 1. So I can bridge it back. How would that work in terms of like, how do I get funds initially on XDAI? Like, is there like faucet that I can just use to like get a few XDAI tokens to like have enough to bridge, or would I need to bridge like DAI over there to be able to pay my transaction?
It's a good question. I took a look at doing the bridging once, and I think it was actually going to let me spend the ETH from L1 to do that bridge. I think when I was looking at it, it was probably a high gas moment, and it was like maybe an $80 transaction to move my POAP over to L1, which was not necessary to me by any means. So I'm sure some other folks that are more familiar with L2 would be able to teach us more about that.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Very cool. Thank you.
Okay, great. Any more questions? Last chance. Okay. So I'm just gonna announce this to be over now. Thank you all for attending. Drake, this has been really fun. Thank you so much for doing this, and I guess I will see all of you around. Bye bye.
Thanks, y'all. Had a ton of fun.